Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. The Roman Catholic Church in the Democratic Republic of Congo has been on the forefront of the pro-democracy movement for decades. Responding to pressure from the church, President Joseph Kabila announced last month that he will not be seeking a third term. The church is now urging the government to ensure that December's elections are free and fair. But some church members face grave risks for their activism. Church activists talked to VOA about what they're demanding from the government and how far they are willing to go in the face of those threats. Chika Udua reports from the DRC capital of Kinshasa.
A special service to commemorate pro-democracy activists who have been killed and those who are still detained. The Catholic Church is a powerful force in the DRC. Nearly half of the country's population are members. They say they're inspired by the church's steady demands for good governance. But government security forces are targeting some churchgoers ever since the anti-government protests began early last year.
We did not go back home to our families. We have been living in hiding since January. For our security, we informed the UN mission MONUSCO about our movements, and some of their agents go with us whenever we go out. They are even here with us now.
President Joseph Kabila announced last month that he would not run for an unconstitutional third term and appointed former Interior Minister Emmanuel Shadari to run in December. It was part of an agreement brokered by the church in December 2016, but it took a series of demonstrations for Kabila to finally step down.
In February, police officers and military police entered this Catholic church compound to stop people from participating in a street march to demand President Joseph Kabila to step down. But the protest continued anyway. People walked down this very street. And at the end of it all, at least 2 people were killed when police fired into the crowd.
The crackdown continues, with the number of people killed by government forces in church-organized rallies now up to at least 45, according to Human Rights Watch. Rossi Mukendi, an assistant professor, is among the dead.
He was killed like a dog in the middle of a crowd. Even when he was very young, Rossi was interested in politics. As his relatives, we didn't agree with his militancy. We always found it dangerous because we're in Africa and we deal more with autocrats than democrats.
The government says it is still investigating Rossi's death. It also says the Catholic Church leadership is overstepping its boundaries.
So let them remove their status of bishops and become politicians. And we run together and we shall see who will win elections. We are talking of, leading a country. It is not the bishops to lead a country.
The bishops support the lay committee, known as the CLC, to coordinate the church's activism.
The CLC is fighting to safeguard freedom of expression, especially in this pre-electoral context. Our members can't move freely. At any time they can be arrested. This is a sacrifice for the sake of public interest.
Parishioners like Gertrude say as long as the church leadership continues to back them, they'll continue non-violently demanding for democratic change in the DRC. Chika Udua in Kinshasa for VOA News.
In many parts of the world, border disputes impact nations and people in different ways, sometimes even long after the conflict is resolved. In the case of Nigeria and Cameroon, the ceding of the Bakassi Peninsula back in 2004 continues to haunt thousands of people who were displaced. Cross River State, South Nigeria, is home to most of them, but their welfare long-term has become a great concern as the governor calls on the federal government to intervene. Channels Television's correspondent Emmanuel Ode, who was at the camp for such people, filing this report.
Nigeria and its neighbor Cameroon signed the Green 3 agreement to resolve a border dispute over the oil-rich Bakassi Peninsula in 2006. The treaty avoided conflicts between both countries, but changed the lives of thousands of the occupants of the territory. For years, more than 3,000 internally displaced persons from Bakassi have lived in this structure, which used to be a primary school in Akpabuyo local government area in Cross River State. Their tales of poverty and deprivation are not new. But the concern now is what the future holds for the over 2,000 children among them.
All this time around, our children have been deprived from being schooling. So I don't think what tomorrow will tell. If government have not rise now and prove and send these children to school, I don't know the next generation of Bakassi how it's going to be.
The boy sits on a small chair. Like this thing often make them to forget about anything, but sometimes if you don't do something like that, they will sit down, start crying, calling daddy. Some of those small children that they not even see their daddy, they will start crying, calling daddy that they have not even seen. Only their mommy, their father is here, but their mother was gone during that time.
The state governor demands that the federal government address the issue by honoring the terms of the agreement signed regarding the permanent resettlement of the refugees.
If families of Bakassi, they are not given the same attention as other IDPs, if the international communities are only doing politics with humanitarian service, not realizing that every soul is equal, whether that soul is in Cross River or is in Burkina Faso. A human soul is a human soul. The same attention you pay to other IDPs, the Bakassi people deserve same.
A prominent indigene of Bakassi and longtime advocate of the Bakassi crisis, Senator Florence Itagiwa, reiterates her stance that the plight of the Bakassi people ought to be taken more seriously.
The solution is for Nigeria to stop maltreating Bakassi people. The solution is for them to provide a home, or what is called home, for these people. The solution is for them to go to day spring or build schools for these people to attend. And the solution is for them as refugees to give these children scholarship, because it's not their fault.
The memories of being forcefully evicted from what used to be the ancestral land may never be forgotten, but brighter ones could be created if they get a chance to enjoy the benefits of citizenship.
It's now time for a short break. As we do, we remind you to visit our website, channelstv.com, for news and programming around the clock. You can also find us on youtube.com/channelsweb. Still to come, what if children run parliaments? In Malawi, international rights group Save the Children holds mock parliamentary sessions. The motions debated and adopted by the children are then presented to government authorities for action. That story after the break.